Joining us tonight, retired four-star General, Fox Business Chief Strategic Analyst, General Jack Keane. General, good to have you with us. Your view of the president's demeanor, his conduct, particularly in the news conference with President Putin.
Yeah, well, first of all, the summit itself was 4 hours plus, and we didn't get access to that, certainly. And eventually we'll kind of find out what that arm wrestling really was and what the details are. The press conference is an important part of the summit because it's what the public is exposed to. And I think a couple things happened there. One, Putin did what we expected him to do, and that is score some kind of a propaganda victory for himself by lying through every serious issue and manipulating it to his favor. He's a master at that. No surprise there. I think what surprised me was the president, I think, made two mistakes at this conference, and both of them surprised me, frankly. One is they're not backing the international community that has the hard evidence that the Russians meddled in our election. And he appeared to favor Putin's strong contention that he didn't do it. And that makes no sense to me. And the president seems to have a problem when, and it's like a blindside, Lou. When he hears Russian meddling, he thinks delegitimizing his election. And it's really not the case because the meddling had no impact. He's got to get this issue off his back.
Yeah, I'm sorry, General, go ahead.
No, go ahead, go ahead.
I agree with you, and I think that's a terrific insight. I think it is also what he hears is that it also reminds him that there is a special counsel that is suffocating his administration and has, both through the FBI investigation for almost a year and more than a year now on the part of the special counsel himself, who has not found an iota of evidence against this president or his campaign, and it frustrates him mightily. It should be frustrating every American because this is a president right now who's shackled by the very presence of Bob Mueller, who is by every measure I can imagine running an absolute partisan, ideologically canted witch hunt.
No, I agree. I mean, the reality is there has been no evidence to date in any of the congressional investigations, and eventually, I guess, Mueller will share with us whatever he's got, but I doubt if he has any collusion. But listen, Lou, the president was on an international stage today, right, standing next to an international tyrant, and there's no way that we show this guy any favor other than not being rude to him. I don't think that's appropriate. But listen, the president, while not responsible for that, stopping the hacking that took place, he is responsible for 2018 and 2020. And I hope that in the confines of that summit that we're not privileged to, he looked Putin right in the face and said something like this: if you meddle in 18 and 20 elections in the United States, not only will I impose the toughest sanctions I can on you, but our relationship will be ended right there, and I will have nothing to do with you as long as I'm president.
You know, I hear the frustration in your voice, and you know, I will defer to you every time on geopolitical analysis. But here's part of the context, I believe, that deserves at least notice, and that is that same intelligence community that Dan Coates today, for example, said unanimously decided that the Russians had meddled in the 2016 election. It wasn't quite unanimous. In point of fact, there were 4 agencies involved. And secondly, those are the same agencies that did not stop that meddling, did not detect it, and by the way, did not insist upon acquiring, seizing those servers at the DNC that acknowledged, we learn now, that the private server that was absolutely in violation of every regulation at the State Department and against the law when it comes to classified information on a personal server of Hillary Clinton, they didn't do anything. 30,000 emails were destroyed by the Clinton, either her or her associates, and without consequence. So when we hear meddling, we also hear that from that same intelligence group, General, that not a vote was changed, not a single vote was changed. The outcome of the election was never at issue, and there was no consequence to anyone involved. And people don't even mention that the Republican National Committee was also a target of the Russian cyber attacks, but they had the hardware and software to thwart that attack because they were prepared for it.
Yeah. Well, the president should embrace exactly what you just said, and that is that this meddling, as feeble as it was, had no impact on the election.
Right.
Okay, embrace that and move on.
Yeah.
He's got to move on. You know, I was opposed to most of President Obama's foreign policy decisions. But the one thing I respected him for, he had significant critics out there. And he just stayed focused on what he thought his agenda was and moved on. And our president's got to do that. He's got to move on from this issue, and let's get on with the business at hand and dealing with Russia, dealing with China, dealing with North Korea, and dealing with the Iranians. I mean, his policies to date in dealing with all of those countries have been solid. Very solid.
They have been, I think, extraordinary, and his achievements and accomplishments, whether it be foreign policy or domestic, is also, as you say, unquestioned and absolutely part of a new vision for America, and it is a brighter one, a prosperous one, and one that is peaceful. His successes so far, I truly believe, with China, with North Korea, and yes, even the European Union, suggest to me that we need to follow, give him some space and follow him closely as he forges a new direction for this country, whether it be with adversaries, competitors, or outright enemies, and also our friends who have not always been so friendly, particularly when it comes to trade. General, you get the last word here.
The only thing that Putin truly respects is strength and resolve. And he's got to see that coming out of us every single day. And I hope that the president, on the interview that he did with Sean Hannity, maybe recovered a little bit from this. And if not, then maybe he can do that in the next few days. And some of his advisors can give us some insight as to what actually took place at the summit.